The filthy one in chains. The marketplace was loud. Ships flew overhead. Traders shouted, selling strange alien goods. Metal floors echoed with footsteps. Smells of oil, food, and sweat filled the air. But in the center of it all, under the auction dome, stood a chained girl. Dirty, thin, shaking. She was not human. Her fur was brown but covered in mud. Her hair hung in knots. Her clothes were ripped and stained. Her eyes, big and golden, had no light in them. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just stood still like she had already given up. People pointed at her and laughed. Look at that filthy mare, disgusting thing. She's not even worth feeding. Who would take that creature home? Maybe a junkyard. The alien auctioneer banged his metal cane and called out, 10 credits for the beast, strong legs, healthy bones, good for cleaning, carrying, or fighting. Used to be a soldier's slave. Still, no one raised their hand. Jalen stood in the back. A human man, tall and quiet. He was only there to find parts for his small repair shop. But something made him stop. His eyes locked on the chained girl. She was trembling, not from fear, but cold. No shoes, no blanket, no hope. Jalen looked around. No one cared, not even a little. The auctioneer shouted louder, 8 credits. Come on, even 5, who wants her? She's worthless to us, useless junk. Jalen stepped forward. I'll take her, he said. The crowd went silent. Then the laughter started. You want that? Someone shouted. Why? Planning to wash your floor with her face, but Jalen said nothing. He walked to the auction table, dropped 5 credits, and reached for the chain. The girl flinched, expecting pain. But Jalen didn't hit her. He gently unhooked the chain and removed the metal collar around her neck. Her skin underneath was raw and bruised. Her head stayed down. Let's go, he said softly. She followed, slow and quiet, like a broken animal. Back at his workshop, Jalen gave her a blanket and some food. She didn't touch it at first. She only stared at the wall. You're safe here, he told her. She didn't reply. He left the food and walked away. Later that night, when he returned, the food was gone. But she was still sitting on the floor, knees pulled up, arms wrapped around her legs. The next morning, Jalen brought her clean clothes, soft water, and a warm towel. She looked at him with tired eyes. Her lips opened slightly as if to speak, but no sound came. He pointed to the bathroom. Shower's in there, take your time. Still, no words. He left her alone. Through the steam he heard soft coughing, then water splashing. Then, a strange sound. Was it crying? When she came out, her fur was clean. Her face looked young, not like a beast but a girl. Maybe even beautiful in a soft alien way. Her scars showed now, across her arms, neck, even her back. She held the towel tight and stood like she expected to be punished. But Jalen only nodded. Bathroom's yours whenever, there's food in the kitchen. The girl blinked. Her hands shook. She didn't understand this kindness. Why wasn't he shouting? Why didn't he chain her again? For the next few days, she stayed quiet. You slept on the floor beside the heater. She ate when no one was looking. Every time Jalen entered the room, she would freeze. One night, Jalen saw her sitting near the window. She was looking at the stars. A tear rolled down her cheek. Still, no words. He placed a soft pillow near her and sat beside her. You don't have to speak, he said. Not yet, just rest. She turned to him slowly, eyes full of pain. So many memories in those eyes. Suffering. Loss. Shame. Then, in a whisper, she said her first word. Why? Jalen looked at her, surprised. Why what? Why, help me? She asked, voice rough and cracked. I'm nothing. He smiled gently. No one is nothing. In that moment, something changed. She looked at him, not as a master, not as a captor, but as something strange, maybe even good. The girl still didn't smile, but for the first time in a long time, her eyes moved with a little light. A broken slave, now given a name, a voice, and a chance to live again. Who was she really, and what had the world taken from her? Jalen didn't know yet, but he was ready to find out. The woman behind the dirt. The workshop was quiet at night. Only the low hum of machines filled the air. Outside, stars blinked in the black sky. Inside, the girl sat in the corner, wrapped in a soft blanket, her eyes following Jalen's every move. She didn't trust him yet, not fully, but he hadn't hurt her, not even once. That was new. Jalen worked late. He fixed a broken engine core on his table. Sparks flew as he welded metal. His hands were steady. He didn't look at her much, but he always kept an extra plate of food near the heater, where she liked to sit. Tonight, for the first time, she walked up to the table. She didn't speak. She simply watched. Jalen noticed, but didn't say anything. He handed her a small wrench. Her hands were slow, unsure, but she took it. "I can show you how this fits," Jalen said gently. "No rush." She nodded once. It wasn't much, but it was a beginning. Later, Jalen found her in the storage room. She was staring at a broken mirror on the wall. The reflection showed her face, still tired, still scarred, but clean now. She touched her cheek, slowly. She looked like someone she had forgotten. Then, without warning, she turned and walked to the sink. Jalen heard water running. She scrubbed. Her arms, her hands, even her claws. Again and again, until the water ran red from old wounds. She was trying to remove her past, trying to find the woman beneath the dirt. That night, Jalen left a small item on her bedroll, a worn music box. He'd repaired it earlier, knowing it played a soft lullaby from one of the outer colonies. He didn't expect her to care. But when he woke up the next morning, the music box was gone, and the blanket was carefully folded. She had started to respond. 3 days later, she spoke again. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "Name?" Jalen turned from his bench. "Your name?" She nodded. He set down his tools. "Only if you want to tell me." She stared at the ground for a long time. Her mouth opened, then closed again. Then she whispered, "Irene." Jalen said it back softly. "Irene." It rolled off his tongue like a secret. She blinked at the sound. It had been so long since someone said her name with kindness. After that, Irene started moving around more. She helped sweep the floor, organize wires, sort tools. Jalen never asked her to, but she did it anyway, slowly, quietly, like a shadow learning to be seen. Still, she never left the workshop. She never stepped outside. One evening, Jalen asked gently, "Do you want to go out? Fresh air? We could walk to the corner stall." Irene shook her head fast, her body tensed. Her breathing grew sharp. "No," she said. They will see me." "Who?" "Everyone." Jalen paused. Then he sat down beside her. "Let them. You don't belong to them anymore." She didn't answer, but she didn't move away either. That night, Irene had a nightmare. Jalen heard her cry out. Soft, at first, then louder. He rushed to the heater corner and found her shaking, curled in a ball, whispering names in her sleep. "Elo, Taryn, Bess. I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Jalen knelt beside her. He didn't touch her. He just spoke calmly. "It's okay. You're safe." Her eyes snapped open, wild, scared. Then they slowly focused on his face. She whispered, "Gone. All gone." "Who were they?" he asked. She said nothing more. But tears slid down her cheeks, and this time, she didn't hide them. In the following days, Jalen noticed something new. Irene had sharp senses. She could hear distant footsteps. She could smell overheating circuits before the alarms did. And once, when a thief tried to break into the back of the shop, she silently circled around and dropped him with one kick. He stared at her. "You've been trained." Irene turned away. "Long ago." "By who?" She didn't say. But now Jalen was sure. She was more than just a slave, much more. Irene had been treated like dirt, called a filthy mare, and sold for scraps. But the truth was hiding beneath the scars. Jalen saw it now. There was power in her silence, grace in her movements, pain in her eyes, but strength too. She wasn't weak. She was surviving. And for the first time, Jalen realized she might be protecting him just as much as he was protecting her. But the question still burned. What had happened to Irene, and what would happen when her past came knocking? Her name wasn't Mare. The sun rose slowly over the metal rooftops of the trade colony. Orange light filtered through the dusty windows of Jalen's small workshop. Inside, Irene stood still, staring at her own reflection in the glass panel of an old power cell. Not long ago she had been nameless. Not long ago she had been filthy mare. Now Jalen called her Irene, and something inside her had started to wake up. She began to speak more. Not full sentences, just words. Quiet, careful, like each one was a test. Food. Hot? Yes. Jalen would reply gently. It's soup, try it. Machine broken? Yeah, needs rewiring. You want to help? Each word built a bridge, and yet she still flinched at sudden sounds. She still froze when someone knocked on the door. She still sat with her back to the wall. Jalen noticed, but he didn't push. Instead, he waited. He knew healing took time. One night, Jalen brought out a small photo slate. He placed it on the table and tapped it. A picture appeared, a human girl, maybe 10 years old, laughing and holding a gear. My sister, he said. She used to help me fix engines before she got sick. Irene looked at the photo for a long time. Then she said softly, You miss her? Jalen smiled a little. Every day. Irene stared down at her hands. I lost many. Do you want to tell me? He asked. She looked at him, and for the first time didn't look away. That night, Irene sat by the heater and whispered into the quiet. My people once lived free. We were riders, fast, brave. We followed the wind. I had a son. His name was Vess. Jalen stopped moving. He sat down slowly across from her, eyes wide. I was taken in a raid, she continued. I fought, but they captured me. I don't know if my son is alive. She held her own arms like she was still in chains. They called me Mare, because I am from a horsekin race. On my world it is a proud name, but off-worlders made it shame. Tears filled her golden eyes. They made me believe I was less. Dirt, slave, thing, Jalen whispered. They were wrong. She looked up at him again. Her voice was shaking. I forgot who I was, until you said my name. The next morning, Irene was different. She moved with quiet purpose. She asked about tools. She made breakfast before Jalen could. She didn't smile, but she no longer walked like a shadow. Then something strange happened. Jalen noticed her fixing an old drone. She had never seen one before, not in his shop. But her hands moved fast, like she already knew what to do. Where did you learn that? He asked. She paused, then said, I don't remember. But Jalen saw it. She had training. Military, maybe royal. Her grace wasn't just natural. It was practiced. There was more to Irene than she knew. That evening, Jalen opened a small box he had found buried in her ragged old cloak. Inside was a tiny metal crest shaped like a pair of wings and a flame. He showed it to her. Her face changed. Color drained from her skin. Where did you find that? She whispered. It was sewn into your cloak. Do you recognize it? She nodded slowly. It's the mark of the Sky Riders. My people. My tribe. Jalen blinked. You were a warrior? No, she said softly. I was the wife of one and the daughter of their leader. Her hands shook. I was someone. Now, she stared at the badge for a long time. Then, with trembling hands, she placed it close to her heart. I am Irene, she said. Not filthy mare, not property, not forgotten. Jalen stood beside her. You were never nothing. You were just buried. That night, Irene walked outside for the first time. The stars were above her, just like on her homeworld. People stared as she passed, wrapped in Jalen's spare cloak. A few whispered, a few laughed, but this time she didn't flinch, and Jalen didn't leave her side. When one drunk alien muttered, "Look, it's the beast again," Jalen looked him dead in the eye and said, "That beast is 10 times better than you." They kept walking. Irene's past still haunted her, but the name she had reclaimed gave her power. She was not weak anymore, and Jalen, he was no longer just a mechanic. He was her shield, her light, her proof that even the most broken soul could be seen again. But trouble was coming, whispers in the marketplace, a bounty, a shadow from her past, and soon someone would arrive. Who knew exactly who Irene used to be? The creature at the door night fell early on the trade colony. The sky above turned deep purple, dotted with stars. Inside the workshop, a warm yellow light glowed from Jalen's workbench. Irene sat near the window, watching the sky like she always did. Her fingers played gently with the Skyrider crest hanging around her neck, a reminder of who she used to be. Jalen brought her a cup of hot broth. You okay? She nodded. The stars are the same everywhere, but they don't feel like home. Jalen sat beside her. Maybe we'll find your home someday. Irene looked at him quietly. This almost feels like one. For the first time there was peace in her voice, but peace never lasts long in a galaxy full of war. The knock came at midnight, not a light tap. It was heavy, sharp, repeating, like hammer blows. Boom, boom, boom. Jalen jolted awake. Irene was already sitting up, her blanket falling off her shoulders. Her ears twitched. Her body froze. Who is that? Jalen whispered. Her voice came out like a breath. Trouble. Jalen grabbed a wrench. It wasn't much of a weapon, but it felt better than nothing. He walked to the door and looked through the screen. Outside stood a creature, huge, muscular, covered in dark armor. 4 arms, each with claws like knives. Its head was like a beetle's, hard, plated, with glowing red eyes. A scar ran down its chest, and around its neck was a gold chain. A chain holding the same Skyrider crest as Irene's. Jalen's hand tightened on the doorframe. The creature growled low. Open. Now. Jalen didn't move. Behind him, Irene whispered, His name is Brax. He was my husband's war captain. Is he here to hurt you? She nodded once, slowly. Or, take me back. Jalen turned to her. What do you want me to do? Irene looked down. Her voice was quiet. Don't open the door. But Brax wasn't waiting. He slammed a heavy fist into the door. I smell her. I know she's in there. You have something that doesn't belong to you, human. Jalen shouted back. She's not something, and she belongs to no one. There was silence. Then Brax's voice turned cold. Give her to me or I'll burn your home down. Jalen's heart pounded. He turned to Irene. She was shaking, not from fear, but from fury. Tell him, Jalen said softly. Tell him who you are. Irene stepped forward, her eyes locked on the door. Her voice rose calm but full of fire. I am Irene of the Skyriders, daughter of Chief Sovan, widow of General Talrex. You abandoned me. You let them take me. You have no right, Brax snarled. You were declared dead. I served your husband until the end. You are broken, you are ruined. Come quietly, and maybe the elders will show mercy. Irene stepped beside Jalen. No, Brax roared. Then I'll take you by force. Without warning, the door shattered. Inward, Brax charged. Jalen swung his wrench. Brax swatted it away like a toy. Irene moved fast, ducking low and grabbing a broken pipe. She spun, hitting Brax across the leg. He stumbled, surprised. You still fight, Brax growled, but you are not the rider you once were. I don't need to be, Irene said. She kicked him in the chest. He stumbled again. Jalen rushed forward, jabbing a shock rod into Brax's side. Sparks flew. The creature howled. Irene grabbed Jalen's hand. "We need to go. Now!" They ran out the back door into the alley, footsteps loud behind them. Irene knew these paths. She had studied them in silence every night. She led them into the narrow tunnels under the colony. Brax didn't follow. Not yet. Hours later, they returned to the workshop. The front was destroyed. Smoke still rose from broken machines. Tools were scattered. The heater was smashed. But Jalen's first words were, "Are you hurt?" Irene looked at him, eyes wide. "You almost died." "So did you," he said. They stood in the wreckage, breathing hard. "I thought I was safe," she whispered. "You are safe," Jalen replied. "He'll come back. But next time, we'll be ready." She looked down. "You don't have to fight my battles." "I don't," Jalen said. "I choose to." That night, Irene didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She stared into the firelight and said softly, "Next time, I'll end it." Jalen looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "Brax is just the beginning. If he's found me, the others will come too." Jalen reached for her hand. She let him. "Then we'll fight together," he said. She looked up at him. Together. For the first time, the word didn't feel impossible. But far in the shadows of the colony, Brax wasn't gone. He was watching, waiting, and he wasn't alone. When she saved him. The next day, smoke still drifted from the ruins of the workshop. Jalen worked quietly, picking up burned wires and broken tools. Irene helped him in silence, her golden eyes scanning every corner. She hadn't said much since Brax attacked, but her body had changed, tense, alert, always watching. She knew what was coming. This wasn't over. By sunset, Jalen sat on the edge of a bench, wiping sweat from his brow. "We'll need new parts. Some things can't be fixed." Irene nodded. "I'll come with you." Jalen hesitated. "It could be dangerous." "I know," she replied. "That's why I'm coming." Her voice was calm, but her eyes, they were fierce now. They walked together to the outer market, a rough area near the landing bays. Rusted ships sat half-buried in sand. Alien traders lined the paths, shouting deals and flashing weapons. No one smiled here. No one asked questions. Jalen kept close to Irene. She walked like a soldier. Inside a dark parts shop, Jalen leaned over a table, checking a damaged power cell. "This could work," he said. Suddenly, bang. The shop's back wall exploded, screams followed. Through the smoke, Brax returned, but this time he wasn't alone. Two more figures stepped in behind him. One held a whip. The other carried a net launcher. Both wore black armor marked with symbols of old slave clans. "Run," Irene said sharply. "No," Jalen said. "We stand." But before he could finish, Brax threw a table across the room, knocking Jalen backward into a wall. Irene moved like lightning. She grabbed the net midair before it wrapped Jalen. With one spin, she threw it back at the attacker. It tangled around his legs. He crashed into the floor. The one with the whip stepped forward. "Stay down, Mare. You're already owned." Irene growled low in her throat. "I'm not yours. Not anymore." She dashed forward. Low, fast, brutal. Her claws slashed across the whip handler's arm. He screamed and dropped his weapon. She didn't stop. A spin, a kick to the chest. He flew back into a shelf. Brax lunged. Irene met him head-on. Metal clashed. Fists flew. Brax slammed her into the ground, but she twisted free. He caught her by the arm, but she rolled, kicked, and broke free again. "You fight better than before," Brax grunted. "I have something to protect now," she said. Brax laughed. "A human? That's what you protect? Pathetic." Jalen groaned on the floor. Blood trickled from his forehead. Irene's eyes burned. "He gave me freedom. You gave me chains." She roared and drove her elbow into Brax's chest. He stumbled. She followed with a rising kick, straight to his jaw. Brax fell back, stunned. Jalen pulled himself up, leaning on the wall. Irene, behind you. Too late. The third attacker had recovered and fired a stun blast. It hit her square in the back. Irene dropped. No! Jalen grabbed a broken pipe and ran at the attacker. He didn't care about being weak or outnumbered. He just saw Irene lying on the ground. His friend, his fighter, his light. He swung hard. The pipe hit the attacker in the side of the head. He fell. Brax roared and charged again. But this time Jalen reached for Irene's fallen badge. He pressed the center. The crest flared bright. A hidden defense core activated. A shockwave burst from the badge, knocking Brax backward across the room. The light faded. Jalen dropped to his knees beside Irene. Please, please wake up. Her eyes fluttered. She whispered, Still here. He smiled in relief. You saved me. No, she whispered. We saved each other. The fight had ended, but the war had just begun. The three attackers were down. One was unconscious, one was tangled. Brax had vanished into smoke again, wounded but alive. Jalen helped Irene up. She leaned on him, breathing hard. They're not done, she said. They'll return with more. Jalen looked her in the eyes. Then we'll be ready next time. She gripped his arm tightly. No more running. That night, back at the half-burned workshop, Irene didn't sit by the heater. She sat beside Jalen, shoulder to shoulder. She looked at the stars, then at him. I used to believe I was cursed, she said. That pain followed me, that anyone close to me would suffer. You're not cursed, Jalen said. You're strong. I'm not strong alone, she replied. Jalen reached for her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. I'm with you. Always. In the dark sky above, ships moved slowly. A signal was sent. A bounty was raised. Someone had put a price on Irene's head, and more were coming. But Irene wasn't the same broken girl anymore. She was awake, and she was ready to fight. Her past revealed. The workshop was quiet again, not because the danger was gone, but because a storm was building. Jalen sat at the table, soldering a new panel for the door they had just rebuilt. His fingers moved with care, but his mind was elsewhere. He kept glancing at Irene. She stood in the corner, staring at a small box in her hands. It was old, dusty, sealed shut with a golden crest, 2 wings and a flame. It had been hidden inside the cloth of her old cloak. Jalen had found it when cleaning the scraps, and now she couldn't take her eyes off it. It belonged to my father, Irene whispered. Jalen looked up. What is it? A memory core, she said. Used by our leaders to record secrets, maps, oaths. I thought it was destroyed when I was taken. She sat down slowly, placing the box between them. Her hands trembled. Jalen gently pushed it toward her. You don't have to open it if it hurts. Irene looked at him. I need to open it, because I think everything that's happening started with what's inside. She pressed her finger to the flame emblem. A soft blue light glowed. The box clicked open. A small hologram flickered to life above it. A tall male of her species, dressed in battle armor with royal markings. His voice echoed through the workshop. To my daughter, Irene, if you find this, it means I've failed to protect you. Her breath caught. You are the last of the Skyrider bloodline. They've taken your mother. They've betrayed our house. Our allies sold us to the slave guilds for a handful of credits. Jalen froze. This wasn't just about Irene's past. This was about a royal family, destroyed from the inside. You are not just my child. You are heir to our worlds, flame, hide, survive, and one day, reclaim your name. The message ended. Irene sat in silence. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. I thought I was a slave who got lucky, but I was a target. They didn't just capture me. They erased me. Jalen's voice was quiet. This changes everything. Irene nodded. Brax wasn't trying to return me to safety. He was silencing a royal witness. She stood, her back straight now, her voice stronger. I'm not just Irene the survivor. I'm Princess Irene of the Skyriders. Jalen blinked, then smiled. I liked you before the title, but this explains why they're so desperate to get you back. She paced slowly. The memory core holds maps, safe places, names of old allies. If even one of them is still alive. She looked at him with new fire in her eyes. I can start again. That night, Irene climbed to the roof of the workshop. Jalen followed, 2 cups of warm synth tea in hand. They sat in silence for a while, watching distant ships fly over, the stars. I thought I had no one, she said. Now I realize I had a world, and it was stolen from me. Jalen took a sip. Do you want to go back, rebuild it? I don't know, she admitted. But I do want the truth out. And if someone's hunting me, I want to hunt back. He looked at her seriously. Then I'll help. She smiled, just slightly. You always say that, because I always mean it. The next morning they decoded a second file inside the box. It was a list, titled Hidden Flames. It named 5 loyal Skyrider families that had vanished during the fall. One name blinked red. Trahina, last seen. Outer Trade Planet. 19 days ago, Irene's breath caught. That was my cousin. She could still be alive, Jalen said. Irene nodded. We need to find her, before they do. As they packed supplies, Jalen paused, by the broken mirror. He looked at Irene. She wore simple clothes but carried herself like a queen. Her scars weren't hidden anymore. Her voice didn't tremble. The world had tried to break her, but her spirit had survived. You look different, he said. I feel different, she replied. Stronger? She turned to him, calm but determined. No. I feel ready, but down. Below the colony in the shadows, a new message spread among the bounty hunters. Royal blood has resurfaced. Bring her alive, dead, if needed. The price on Irene's head had doubled, and someone even worse than Brax was coming. His hand, her heart. The desert wind howled outside the colony walls. Inside the workshop, Irene stood in front of a cracked mirror, armor now on her shoulders, her royal crest polished and shining at her neck. The girl once sold for 5 credits, mocked as filthy mare, now looked like a warrior queen ready for war. Jalen stood behind her checking his toolkit. Are you sure you want to do this? Irene didn't blink. They're hunting me. If I keep running, more innocent people will suffer. No more hiding. She turned and looked him in the eyes. But if I fall, you won't, Jalen said firmly. She stepped closer. You've already done more than I ever hoped. You saved me. Jalen smiled gently. No, you saved yourself. I was just lucky enough to witness it. They rode out that night. Jalen drove an old skimmer through the sand valleys. Irene sat behind him watching the skies, gripping the memory box that held her family's secrets. They were heading toward the outer ridge, where a signal had been traced. Possibly from Rehanna, her cousin. Possibly a trap. Both knew it. Could be the final fight. When they reached the cliffside ruin, the air grew still. Irene stepped out first, her body tensed. Something was wrong. Then a shadow moved. A tall figure in gold armor appeared from behind the rocks. Not Brax. Someone. Worse, a former high commander of the guilds, Vostalik, known for hunting royalty, known for cleaning up bloodlines. He smiled. Princess Irene, alive after all. Jalen moved forward, placing himself between them. You'll have to get through me first. Voss laughed. Oh, human, you're a wrench slinger. She's royalty, and I am death. He raised his blaster, but before he could fire, Irene spoke. Rehanna is gone, isn't she? Voss gave a cold nod. She died screaming. She begged me to let you live. Irene didn't cry. She didn't shake. She stepped forward. I'm not here to beg. The fight was brutal. Voss was fast, skilled, deadly, but Irene had something more. Purpose. She blocked his strikes, countered with a soldier's grace. Jalen helped from the side, using tools, throwing sparks, setting off traps he'd hidden in the sand. Finally, Irene kicked Voss back and disarmed him. He lay on the ground, breathing heavy. "You're no queen," he hissed. She stepped over him. "No, I'm better." And then she walked away, choosing mercy over vengeance, because she wasn't just fighting to survive, she was fighting to live with honor. That night, under a quiet sky, they returned home. The colony had heard what happened. People stared, but they didn't laugh this time. They bowed. Children pointed. "That's her! That's the one they called Filthy Mare. She beat the hunters." Irene kept walking, head high, but when they reached the workshop, she stopped. She turned to Jalen, and for the first time, she reached for his hand. "Do you still see me the way you did when I was broken?" Jalen's voice was calm. "I never saw you as broken. I saw someone trying to survive." Irene's voice softened. "I was afraid of love. I thought it was a trap. But now, I think it's freedom." She took a slow breath and said the words that had waited inside her heart for so long. "If I asked you to stay with me, not as a guard, not as a savior, but as my mate, would you?" Jalen smiled. He took her hand fully, then slowly brought it to his chest. "I already have." Weeks later, under the twin moons of the colony, they stood together in front of the people. There were no gold crowns, no fancy robes, only two hands joined. One woman once cast aside as nothing, and one human who saw her as everything, from slave to survivor, from outcast to leader, from filthy mare to beloved wife. All it took was one human hand reaching out, and one alien heart finally believing it was worthy to be held.